What's up, guys? So I put this little video together to give you guys a sample of the type of feedback that I give when I offer short film feedback. If you're interested, you can get more information at dfordarius.com. I will probably leave a link in the description section as well. And yeah, I look forward to working with you. Deuces! Hello, Mr. This is D for Darius, giving you some feedback on Leap Year. So first and foremost, I'll start with the things that I liked about Leap Year. Congrats on even completing the project. I liked how you started the film. You started it with conflict. That's one of the things that I always stress about making short films, especially in this digital age, is that you really need to start off with a powerful opener to get people's attention. So good job on that. I also like that it was short and sweet. I think you guys are clocking in at about 7 minutes and some change. I've seen a lot of really long short films, so I kind of like that you guys just got in and got out. I also liked the twist with Gabriel being the driver who killed Emily. Initially, when I saw it, I automatically assumed that Gabriel was an angel. He's got the white polo shirt on, and then later on, we find out that Gabriel was actually the driver, and it makes sense because Gabriel could also be anybody's name, so I definitely like the twist that you guys wrote in there. Also, great casting choice for Emily. She's got a really good screen presence about her. And I also loved the sequence that you guys shot with Emily at 5 minutes and 49 seconds with Austin thinking about Emily before he actually lets her go mentally. I thought the combination of shots that you guys chose with her turning around and walking away and we see the trees in the background and in the distance, very pretty good job on that. So now we'll get into the regular feedback portion of it where I critique a little bit. So for starters, even though I like the way that you opened the film or how you guys opened it, I do think the open is a bit too dramatic. So what's happening is you're starting off with the voiceover in silence and we hear Austin talking about loss and having loved someone and wanting to reunite with them pretty much in death, and then we open with him presumably getting ready to jump off the edge of a building. I don't think you guys actually need the voiceover leading up to him jumping off the building, because it would be okay if you let your audience guess a little bit. If we see someone at the edge of a building and they look like they're about to jump, it's okay to let us guess. You don't have to feed all of the facts to us right away. So I think with the voiceover, with him kind of being a little dramatic, even in his delivery, he sounds extremely sad, and then jumping right into him about to jump off the edge of the cliff. I think those two, like back to back, it starts off a little too dramatic, and there isn't any place for the rest of the film to go. Generally speaking, you want to start off somewhere where the intensity in the film is not quite as high yet. And then you want to build that intensity over the course of the film. And then in the climax, you want it to be at its most intense. And then in the resolution, the intensity falls off. But here you guys are starting, and there's a lot of intensity at the start of the film, but there's nowhere for the intensity to build in the film because you guys are starting so big already. An easy fix for you all could be to start the film off with a little more mystery. If we see Austin at the edge of a building, but we don't quite know what he's doing, maybe you get a close-up of his eyes, and then you get a POV shot of what he's looking at, and we see that he's looking over the building, and then we also get a shot of maybe his feet at the edge of the building, and then we get the idea, okay, we don't know who this guy is, but he looks like he's about to jump off of the building. What's going on with him? Why would he be contemplating committing suicide? And then we see Gabriel come up and talk him off of the ledge. That would be opening with a little more mystery. So you let the audience put the pieces together, and then you can start to build in the rest of the story, and we find out why he was about to jump off. Whereas right now, you pretty much spill all the beans. Okay, we already know that he's lost a love, and now he's about to jump off the edge of the building because he's lost a love. It's okay to let your audience work for their information a little bit. A quick note about the music, and this is kind of a note overall about the music use. It's a bit generic. It sort of reinforces the drama in the film, which is another thing that contributes to the film feeling a little too dramatic. Generally, if you notice, if you watch a lot of drama films, the really good ones, the music that they choose for the film tends to subvert the drama, or it tends to counteract the drama, or it's like a counterpoint to the drama. So they would have a very dramatic scene, but the music selection that they choose isn't very dramatic. The music selection might be something beautiful or something peaceful or something awkward or something strange, but it isn't dramatic music on top of the dramatic scene. But what you guys have going on, the music is also equally as dramatic as what we're seeing on the screen, so it makes it feel really, really melodramatic. And that's something you usually want to avoid with filmmaking, because you want the audience to decide how they want to feel about what's going on themselves, because that would require them to invest more into your film when they have to figure out what's going on. You don't want to spell everything out for them. So you could have chosen some other musical scores to help subvert the drama a little bit. This is an overall note about the dialogue. The dialogue feels a bit cliche. It sounds like dialogue that I've heard in 20 different other movies before. It's not very unique. It's not specific to your characters. The words that are coming out of your characters' mouths, these don't sound like things that your friends would say. Case in point, minute 2 minutes and 22 seconds. You have a scene where Austin is talking about why he loves Emily. And although it's very poetic and it sounds nice, it doesn't sound like something that Austin would say as a character. It sounds like words that were written for him that, like I said, where have been used and reused in like a whole bunch of other movies. And I know you guys are still starting out and you're still young and you're new at all of this. So all of this is completely fine. It's all a part of the learning process, but I'm just bringing it up because I think that you guys should definitely know. Being one of your first films, like I said, these things happen. Some of my first films, I had some really cliche dialogue out of the gate. Overall, I think the dialogue could have been tweaked and inspired by things that you and your friends actually say. It would have made the dialogue much more interesting, much more engaging. The scene that you guys have at 6 minutes and 29 seconds into the film, where Austin bumps into the new girl and the papers are dropped and he helps her pick them up. This particular scene, again, it's overused. This is a scene that we've seen in countless other movies. And I think that you guys could have kind of written something a little more original, a little more fun, something a little more unique to your experience as filmmakers or as students, where you are, your age range. I noticed in the ending credit sequence, you guys had a lot of really cute pictures of Austin and his new girlfriend. And, they were having a picture in the library where they both had books in front of their faces. And I think some of the moments that you guys captured with those pictures were quite interesting. And I think it would have been interesting to see a scene where he meets her, but it's along the lines of something, maybe inspired by one of the pictures in the library. Something completely different, something completely fresh. I think there's a lot of room for you guys to explore. There was a lot of room for you guys to explore something. To wrap that point up, that particular scene struck me as it's one of the most overused things I see, aside from starting films off with a character waking up in bed. Now we're going to move to the more technical aspects of filmmaking in this section of the feedback. So the opening shot, 50 seconds into the film, the very first shot that you guys have is out of focus. The following shot, 55 seconds into the film, where Gabriel runs up to stop Austin from jumping. The framing on this shot is a little odd. It looks like there's a lot of dead space between Gabriel and Austin at the edge of the building. If you guys had moved the actors closer together, you could have reframed and kind of cut out some of that dead space and got a tighter frame for those actors. The mics, it sounds like you guys were using the microphones on the cameras, which is okay. I mean, considering where you guys are, maybe you were using gear that you borrowed from film class. Maybe you were borrowing a camera from a brother or sister. I'm not sure what type of gear that you guys were using, but it does sound like the audio would have been much better had you gotten the mic closer to the actors. But again, if you guys are using a camera that you borrowed from somebody else, obviously you guys probably didn't have the resources to have a shotgun mic or something to get closer to the actors. With the car accident scene with both Gabriel and Emily, I think you guys could have gotten a little bit tighter. You could have gotten closer to both Gabriel and Emily, because what's happening is when I see that scene, I can see that the cars that they're in are perfectly fine. The steering wheel, there's no shattered glass. The inside of the car looks perfectly fine. And I see Emily there with makeup on her face and blood on her face. It's not selling. Usually, if you're shooting a film and you don't have a budget to, you know, say crash a car, or you don't have After Effects or something to mess a car up, then the next best thing that you can do is go really tight on your actors so that all we as an audience see is a face with blood on it. And maybe, you know, a corner of a shoulder. Maybe you get a really close-up shot of an eyeball that's staring wide open, and maybe a little bit around the eye where we can see some bruising. Maybe like a corner of a car, and you can have like water dripping on the concrete to show that, you know, some fluids are leaking. And then you show, you know, your main protagonist's face in horror or something like that. So you can communicate that something really, really bad happened and it looks like it was a car accident. Somebody's bleeding, but at the same time, we as an audience don't see enough of the car to realize that the car is actually fine. So next time, and this applies to horror films and all of that, if you guys are shooting a scene where somebody's mutilated or cut up or anything like that, and you don't really have a budget or you don't have the resources to actually pull off the scene realistically, then just get really close on your actors and the action in the scene, and you can kind of get around having to sell the idea that you actually don't have whatever it is that you're filming. The conversation 4 minutes and 38 seconds into the film, I think it's between Gabriel and Austin. You guys are crossing the eye line, or you guys are jumping the eye line with that. So it looks like Gabriel is looking screen left and Austin is looking screen left. If you need a refresher on eye lines, there's a number of videos on the 180-degree rule in eye lines and what happens when you cross them. But that in that particular convo, pretty much in all the convos, you guys should not be crossing the eye line the way that you guys are. It looks like you're accidentally doing it. It doesn't look like it's intentional for any sort of dramatic effect. And also the shot 5 minutes and 25 seconds into the film, that one is also out of focus. And I think that one is Austin when he's thinking about Emily, from what I recall. In general, if you have out of focus shots, if you have the time, you should reshoot those because out of focus shots that are unintentionally out of focus can be quite distracting. And I'm just going to go ahead on and close this up and wrap it up for you. Overall, again, great job. You guys are young. You guys have a bright future ahead of you, and you guys had a lot of great moments in there. So also, I think something that you should remember and you should probably entertain, you might want to think about taking acting classes or taking theater classes. One, it'll help you a lot as a director because you'll be able to communicate with your actors and you can communicate what you're looking for or what you're trying to achieve. And you can speak in their language, which will allow you to get much better performances out of your actors. And two, you can learn about the tools that it takes to shape performances with acting. So that's something you could consider. You may be completely opposed to acting. I don't know how you feel about it, but I highly suggest you look into at least taking some acting classes so that you can relate with your actors better and you can communicate a lot better. Overall, a lot of the things that I've seen in Leap Year are attributed just to lack of experience. I mean, I can go even further as far as, you know, kind of critiquing and nitpicking on things. But to be honest with you, a lot of the things they would fix themselves with just more experience. Like if you make 3 more short films, I bet you'll look back on this film and you'll be like, oh, wow, you know what? I could do this different. I could do that different. Oh, I wish I'd have done this and that and this and that. So I think the more experience you get, the more dramatic your progress will be as you grow as a filmmaker. So I look forward to seeing what you guys pull off in the future. Again, great job. Feel free to email me if you have any questions about some of the feedback that I've given you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you this feedback. And yeah, Deebert out.